Lease a Camry LE from just $259 a month for 39 months with $32.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra.
Get the deal, not the ordeal, at Signature Toyota, your local Toyota dealer. SignatureToyota.com or Napier Avenue, Benton Harbor.
From the Pat Moody Studios, this is Talk Sports 94.9. WSJM FM, Benton Harbor, St. Joseph. Depend on us. The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
And good morning once again. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. See, we've already turned on the cameras for the video live stream, so we'll do that in just a second. We've got ABC News that we're going to be covering here right now, and then we'll get our local news from the WSJM newsroom, sports, and more. It's coming up next right here on WSJM at 7 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Law enforcement officials are warning corporate executives to remain.
Okay, and here we are back on the video live stream. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. Thanks for watching and listening here on WSJM. And I'm saying good morning to Nancy Kiernan. Good morning, Nancy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the WSJM studios.
Yes, wonderful.
Nancy is the Greater Bridgman Area Chamber and Growth Alliance Director.
Nice job.
Right? Did I do that all right?
You did that great.
Okay. Your business card must be heavy.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
and you are also a former Voice of Democracy contestant for the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign War.
And that was when I was last in the studio.
Do you know when that was?
Many moons ago.
Okay, we won't say. That's a secret
I
ingredient.
St. Joseph High School.
Okay.
It was a program that the Veterans of Foreign Wars ran at the high school level.
Yeah.
And it was a speech writing contest that was geared at patriotism.
That's right. It's still in existence today. Yeah, I'm looking at it on their website. The VFW is dedicated to promoting patriotism and investing in our future generations. If you are a democracy-loving high school student, which you were,
I was,
then interested in a $35,000 college scholarship, is that what you were competing for?
I think I got a $50 U.S. savings bond. And I was thrilled.
You were thrilled. So I mean, yeah, today, I mean, inflation and everything else, high school students for $35,000 college scholarship, or a patriotic middle school student interested in winning $5,000, these scholarships are for you. The Voice of Democracy was established in 1947. It's an audio essay program providing high school students with a unique opportunity to express themselves in regards to a democratic and patriotic themed recorded essay.
And I recorded it here at the WSJM studios.
Here at WSJM. That is so
That's
cool.
A fun fact.
Do you still have the essay? Do you have it in your back pocket there? Did you bring it in?
No, I don't.
Do you remember any of it?
Why I Care About America.
Aw.
That was the title. And I both of my parents were in World War II. So I came, military parents. And very much it was instilled that, we were in a very special place here in the United States.
Absolutely.
Should appreciate that. And I think I carried that into my speech.
Both your parents were in World War II.
Yes. My father was in the Navy.
Please. Yeah.
And my mother was a Marine drill sergeant.
You're kidding. Your mom was a Marine drill sergeant?
She was at Camp Pendleton.
Are you a rule follower?
You know what? It's funny. I'm kind of not a rule follower. Maybe I had too many.
She broke you.
Yeah. But she taught aerial artillery at Camp Pendleton.
I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah. And so he was the Navy man was the easy one to get along with in the family as far as disciplinarian. He was, chop, chop, chop.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was very tough and she got it done. That's for sure.
How, so when did the family come along?
Well, my parents actually met at the Veterans Administration in Baltimore.
Okay.
My father had been discharged from the Navy because he'd gone deaf.
Okay.
He was at so many battles in the Pacific that he lost his hearing at a very young age.
Oh, my goodness.
And they felt bad for him, so they gave him a job at the VA in Baltimore.
Okay.
And my mom was there studying on the GI Bill at Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
And they met at a VA party, and But my mother had grown up in St. Joseph.
Okay.
And so moved back here. My father worked for Whirlpool,
Okay.
and my mom was a school teacher, and
Wow.
raised 6 children here in St. Joe.
That's amazing. We're gonna dive deeper into that, okay? Because that's fascinating already. So we're talking with Nancy Kiernan, and we're fortunate to do so. So thank you for tuning in on the video live stream. We'll be right back. We've got some news to get to, and then we'll explore more about that and more about Nancy's background and about Bridgman, what's happening there. A lot of good things happening there. It's all coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Forms of magnesium to target every system in your body. Don't let stress and burnout ruin your holidays. Get Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers and give your body the magnesium it craves. It's the perfect gift for yourself or a loved one this holiday season. For an exclusive offer, go to bioptimizers.com/radio and use promo code radio during checkout to save 10% and transform your health. That's bioptimizers.com/radio.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And good morning and welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. You are in for a treat this hour. Oh my goodness. We have Nancy Kiernan. She is the director of the Bridgman CGA. We'll tell you what CGA is. Basically, it's the Greater Bridgman Area Chamber and Growth Alliance.
Right.
That's a lot of stuff.
We've grown over the years. We're growing into that title still. We've got lots of good things going on.
We can't wait to hear about it. And the funny thing is I'm going to share this already, is the last thing you said to me before we came here for the news is that camera going to stay on the whole time? And I said, yeah, that's what we do. It's the video live stream. Yeah. And so it's not taped. Well, I mean, it is taped because people can go back and watch it later. But if you're not a poker player,
which I am not a poker player.
Because your facial expressions it'll be fine.
Okay.
It'll be good. Yeah. Sure, we'll edit it.
You're used to this. I'm not, but I'm very happy to be invited to participate this morning.
And we appreciate having you here. We're going to start that interview here in a couple of minutes. Let's do some weather, and then we'll do some news, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Great.
Sound good? All right, 30 degrees in Benton Harbor and in St. Joseph right now. South Haven has 31 degrees. Buchanan, 28 degrees, and 29 degrees in New Buffalo right now. Let's see do I have Bridgman here called out specifically? No, I'll have to add that. Let's see. But the feels
it's always
like
beautiful in Bridgman.
Look at that. It does say that. Always beautiful in Bridgman.
That's right.
The feels like temperature in Benton Harbor right now and many places around is in the teens, mid-teens. It's about 18 degrees is the feels like in Benton Harbor. We are under a winter weather advisory today for Southwest Michigan. That starts at 11 o'clock this morning officially, and it runs through 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The forecast for today is mostly cloudy skies, 50% chance of snow showers, high around 30 degrees, west winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, but they're going to gust to 30 miles per hour, and that's blowing in even colder temperatures. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy, 50% chance of lake effect snow, breezy with sub-zero wind chills, low around 12.
Oh.
Yeah, not even a baker's dozen. We get 12. That's it.
Get the fire going tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a good night for that. Although the winds are going to be out of the west, 15 to 20 miles per hour, with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. So again, sub-zero wind chills in effect for tonight. Thursday, partly sunny, 30% chance of lake effect snow showers. Tomorrow, breezy with sub-zero wind chills, high around 80, west winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting to 30 miles per hour. So that is the forecast. Some of the news that we're following from the WSJM newsroom this morning. The Lincoln Township Board of Trustees has held its first meeting with a new government in place following the November elections and some changes made this year to the management structure of the township. Tuesday's meeting featured new faces and new roles. New township manager Ralph Banson has been on board for a couple of months, but he reported to trustees on what he's been doing in that time. He told us it's been a lot of meetings with community leaders, and the priority now is to get a budget in place while settling in with the staff.
Biggest thing is we want to keep doing what we're doing. Fortunately, I got to inherit a very well-run township to begin with. So my goal is just to keep it running smooth and efficiently as I can, be financially prudent, and just take care of the business and the residents that we have in our township.
Banson says he's also seeking to help SurfNet with a broadband project on the east side of the township, just outside of the Stevensville village limits.
I don't know when their start date will be. We thought it was going to be here in the next couple of weeks, but I think they're still trying to work out their permits.
It's
Banson told trustees SurfNet is looking for a place to store equipment while construction is ongoing. He's thinking, he says, of letting them rent township property, perhaps at a park. Also, he said, with former clerk Stacy Lohr Porter now having left, he's delegating tasks previously handled by her to other staff members. New township supervisor Glenn Youngstead also went over some of his priorities for the coming year. They include promoting the township text notification system, starting a newsletter, drafting a welcome letter for new residents and businesses, and painting all 1,400 fire hydrants in the township. Wow. That's a lot of a lot of fire hydrants. That's a lot of paint. Dogs are not going to be happy if you wall those things off while you paint them. Volunteers will be sought for that next year. Also on board for their first meeting as elected officials Tuesday were Clerk Michael Brown and Trustee Amy Pfeiffer. Let's see, other news. Berrien RESA is working with school districts and police agencies throughout the area to better plan for school emergencies. RESA Superintendent Eric Hopstock tells us the I Love You Guys Foundation is helping to coordinate the effort. Hopstock says the I Love You Guys Foundation works with more than 50,000 organizations around the world to help them coordinate emergency response plans.
And they have been working to perfect some simple terminology that can be used with a high degree of effectiveness, because if an emergency, God forbid, ever happens, you don't have time to think through multiple pages of stuff.
Hopstock says representatives of just about every Berrien County school district and police agency were on hand Monday for a training session where they talked about how to coordinate in the event of an actual emergency.
The real power here is just working cooperatively so that as a county we're more unified.
While school lockdown situations in Berrien County tend to be the result of hoaxes, Hopstock says having a coordinated response is still helpful. For example, he says a district that offers CTE programs to students from other districts should be in the loop regarding emergencies at schools throughout the county so they can manage transportation issues. He adds some districts have multiple police agencies serving them, so that coordination between police also essential. The goal of the new partnership is to fully implement the I Love You Guys standard response protocols by summertime. More training sessions are planned between now and then. And the Michigan Department of Natural Resources this week announcing nearly $2 million in grants to develop local recreation projects, all made possible through the purchase of Michigan's Recreation Passport. When Michiganders renew their vehicle registration and buy the Recreation Passport for $14, 10% of the proceeds are redistributed to communities across the state for the development of local public recreation facilities. Now, the DNR put their announcement out yesterday. They said 14 communities will benefit this year, including several in Southwest Michigan. In Berrien County, the city of Niles applied for and received $112,500 for the Indiana-Michigan River Valley Trail improvements. New Buffalo will receive $150,000 for softball field improvements. The village of Decatur awarded $150,000 for Fireman's Park improvements. And in Allegan County, Salem Township is receiving $150,000 for pickleball courts.
Gotta love pickleball.
You know, I mean, it's the craze, it's the trend, and it's getting grant money now, too. All right, it's 7:12.
Lots of grant money.
Lots of grant money. You can hear it. Talk. All right, 7:12 is the time. It's the WSJM Morning Show. We're talking with Nancy Kiernan this morning from the Bridgman CGA. We'll talk about her background and what the Bridgman CGA is all about, what Bridgman is all about, what they've got going on, which is a lot, which is why we asked her to come on board. We'll talk about that starting now on the video live stream, and we'll have it here on the radio as well, right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We've got sports right now.
In college basketball last night, in a game you heard on News Talk.
And here we are on the video live stream. Good morning and welcome. Oh, look. Let's see. Teresa. We have Teresa Yore. She's on our video live stream, and she's a good friend of the show. She says, good morning. And she says, hey, Ken, I just thought of it. If you can catch Santa, I know he's a little busy this time of year, but you should interview him as well. And Teresa says, hi, Nancy.
Hi, Teresa.
I could interview Santa. That's not a bad idea.
You could find him in Bridgman on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
We have him coming to our holiday village. So
I mean, talk while we're talking about it, go ahead. Talk about the holiday stuff you have going on this weekend.
Well, I have to admit that I didn't bring a cheat sheet. I brought a cheat poster.
Oh boy.
Because there's so much going
That's
on.
fantastic.
I had to, it's getting big out there.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, we do have Santa coming, and we will have photos with Santa and hot chocolate at Rising Kites Coffee.
Can I show you a photo that I found the other? So I have 3 boys.
Okay.
I have 3
God bless
boys.
You.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And, I mean, they are just wonderful people. And let me see if I find the photo. So I'm going to show it on the video live stream here first. So this is a picture of them seeing, this is the young one's first experience with Santa.
Go away.
And you can see, can you see that? Can you see that all right? Yeah. So that's Stuart, Sawyer, and Samuel. And Santa's there trying to figure out what in the world to do, how to stop the chaos. And what did I do? I thought, I'm going to take a picture. So
that's what boys are for.
Exactly. So I shared that with them, all 3 of them, again yesterday, and didn't really get much of a comment back, but they'll appreciate it someday. But so you've got Santa coming at the Bridgman at the holiday show. We'll run through the whole schedule, the Bridgman Holiday Village that's happening. But we want to get to know you, and we want to get to know what's happening in Bridgman and find out. So we'll start that interview here in just a moment on the video live stream and on the air on the radio in just a moment right here on WSJM. So hold that thought.
Great.
Snow showers start to get a little more intense. A winter weather advisory starts at 11 o'clock today and goes through tomorrow. We're talking most areas 1 to 3 inches of accumulating snow, but blowing and drifting will make travel a little bit slower. We're only going to top out at 18 tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
I was just looking at some of the feels like temperatures. Carrie Peugeot just gave us the weather forecast where we're only going to get a top out of 18 degrees tomorrow, but the feels like is already there. We're already at feels like 18 degrees, feels like 17 degrees, feels like 16 degrees if you think about the areas of Southwest Michigan. So cold is here. Pay attention to your animals when you let them out. So do you have any animals?
I have a beautiful friend named Mabel.
Oh, what's Mabel?
Mabel is an American bulldog.
Oh, pretty.
And she's very pretty.
Okay.
And she does not like the cold.
Oh.
She is adopted from Arkansas, and I think she got used to warmer weather in her youth.
Do you put a big old wool sweater on her during
we have a down jacket.
Nice.
It's pink. It's very, very
pink.
Feminine, and she rocks it. And yeah, we didn't get the booties going, but she likes the jacket.
That'd be fun. We're talking with Nancy Kiernan. She is the Greater Bridgman Area Chamber and Growth Alliance Director. And tell us first, what does that mean? You're the director of the Bridgman CGA.
Well, I'll tell you, the organization has been around for a long time, but there was a realization in the last year that a boots on the ground director, somebody working with the business on a daily basis, and being the eyes and ears of the community as well in terms of business opportunities was what was needed.
Yeah, for the purpose, the ultimate outcome of spurring economic activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And economic development is always that long-term play that's kind of behind the scenes often, but it's something that has to be addressed on a daily basis, and it's a growing, it's an iterative process. You get one business in, and then somebody looks and says, oh, I think that's of a street that I might want to locate my business on. So it's something that you have to constantly be working the problem.
All right, we're going to talk more about that and your role there and what's happening with Bridgman. But first, we ask our guests, I would love to know some more background about you. To introduce yourself to people who may not know you already, and your background, where you come from, and all that. You already gave us a glimpse of it, and I'm going to keep prying because this is fascinating.
Sure. You grew up in St. Joseph.
Okay.
We lived basically on the river down near the hospital.
Yeah.
So I had an idyllic youth, really, running around St. Joe and enjoying all the outdoor activities that this area has to offer.
Yeah.
My dad worked at Whirlpool. My mom.
What did he do at Whirlpool?
He was in marketing.
Okay.
And that was his career for life.
Wow.
And my mom was a school teacher, originally special education, but then morphed into primary school, was a third grade school teacher.
For people who may not have caught it before 7 o'clock, your mom and dad, they met at a VA facility in
Baltimore, Maryland.
Maryland. And each of them are veterans. Just a snapshot background of what they were doing when they were in the military.
Well, I'll tell you, my dad saw a good deal of action in the Pacific Theater.
World War II.
Absolutely. Yep. And he was on a destroyer and actually went deaf as a result of his experience there. He was a chief petty officer and had served as a signalman as well. And when I look at all of the battles he was at, and didn't know anything about them when I was a kid, but as an adult, you see and you learn more about the major battles of World War II. I remember my dad was at all of them.
Wow.
And he actually, it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah.
If you want
we've got time. Yeah.
He was a very poor boy from Baltimore, and the military was a lifesaver for him and his family. 9 kids, and it was an income. And he didn't want to leave the military, but they discharged him because he lost his hearing.
Wow.
Well, they discharged him in Honolulu. And when
that's a great place to be.
When they weren't looking, he jumped on a ship and stowed away back into going out into the Pacific.
Are you kidding?
So no, I'm not.
He stayed in the Navy. They discharged him and he said, I'm staying.
He stowawayed on a ship. And he could have gotten in trouble.
Yeah, did they get mad at him?
They didn't get mad at him. What they did was they reinstated him so he wouldn't get in trouble.
That's great.
And when they were due to come back to port again, kicked him off for good this time and said, you can still be a part of our organization. And they gave him a job at the VA administration in Baltimore.
That's amazing.
So he did not know what he was going to do with his life after the military.
Yeah.
And he loved it. And so the VA was a natural fit for him.
That's amazing. And then your mother, she was also in the military. How did she get in to the military?
Well, she was at the movie theaters on D-Day. Not on D-Day. When they bombed Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Came out, saw the melee that was the United States on that day.
Yeah.
And walked into the Marine recruiting office the next day, much to her father's dismay, and joined the Marines.
She couldn't go to the Army. She couldn't go to the Air Force or the Navy. She had to pick the Marines.
She was a tough bird. I think she picked the right.
Okay. All right. What did she do? What did she do there?
She was a drill sergeant in aerial artillery.
Wow.
So, really just working with the young men who were going to be in the cockpit or not the cockpit, but in these planes, and teaching them how to be safe and use their weapons and take care of themselves and their fellow officers. And that's
amazing.
what she did all through the war.
She was a drill sergeant. She was literally a drill sergeant.
She was literally a drill sergeant.
Do you ever see any of that?
Absolutely. My mom was the one. It was funny because my mom was the one that really, what she said, she didn't have to repeat herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Your dad was the good cop. She was the bad cop.
Well, he was the one that actually taught us how to make a bed so we could bounce a dime on it.
Nice.
And clean a kitchen so that there were no holidays. I mean, he was very much kind of the
clean a kitchen so there were no holidays.
Do you know what a holiday is?
Well, I mean, Christmas.
No.
Okay.
So when you wipe down the counter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the streaks.
Well, that little circle where you miss it.
Ah, that's a holiday. Okay. I take a lot of holidays.
You look at it like in the right light to see where you missed.
And so he taught you all that.
Very precise.
That's great.
And when it was time for dinner, it was line them up, up. We were being called like mess hall.
Wow.
There were 6 of us, so
it worked. So what was the breakout, brothers, sisters?
I have, there were 3 boys and 3 girls.
Okay.
But where I'm stumbling is we were also a mixed family in terms of there were 3 adopted siblings and 3 biological siblings.
Okay.
And so it was
It's a big family.
My mother adopted children when she was having children. So at one point, I think she had 3 in diapers at the same time.
Wow.
So she was totally a glutton for motherly punishment, right? But it was a lot of fun. We were all very close because we were very close together in age.
Yeah.
And growing up in St. Joe was just a great experience.
Yeah. They met in Baltimore, and then they fell in love, and the romance occurred, and then St. Joseph is where they decided to spend their lives.
Well, apparently, my mother tells the story that she was rustling up votes for Harry Truman, apparently. And my father pledged votes.
Okay.
But yes, they fell in love. They married in Baltimore.
Politics.
And my grandfather my mother was raised in St. Joseph.
Okay.
My grandfather was the president of the People's State Bank.
All right.
So they came back, and there was, there were a lot of really good companies here at that time, and Whirlpool was one of them that had recently, really beefed up their presence here. Yeah. And my father came back and got a job at Whirlpool and raised their 6 kids here in St. Joe.
That's fantastic. And you are one of 6. We're talking with Nancy Kiernan. She is the CGA director for Bridgman. And so where'd you go to school?
I went to St. Joseph High School.
Okay. So you're a Bear through and through.
I'm a Bear.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What about where does the toy store come in?
Well, when my husband and I met actually in Chicago, I was at the University of Chicago for graduate school.
Okay.
And I tell this story. I walked into a used rare and out of print bookstore.
Okay.
And there was this kind of cute guy there. And
you're picking up guys at the bookstore. Got it. Okay.
And I, kind of dusted him off, and he is cute. And we married right away. We just, it was like that.
That's great.
We were married within 6 months.
No kidding.
And we've been married for 40 some years now at this point, and we have 4 daughters.
Okay.
So yeah, I met my husband. He was working in a bookstore. Mm-hmm. And I was actually my first job was working for a local development corporation in Hyde Park.
Okay.
We actually brought one of the first Starbucks to the city of Chicago.
No kidding.
And there was a lot of good things that were going on in Hyde Park at that time in terms of economic development, because the university had a real vested interest in stabilizing that South Side neighborhood.
Okay.
So my husband and I, we just decided that owning our own business was kind of a fun thing to do. We'd seen others taking the plunge.
Yeah.
So we decided to, and originally we opened up a bookstore.
Okay. Makes sense.
And it was kind of a funny chain of events where you had, after we were in the bookstore for a few years, like 10 years, we had Borders and Waterstones and Barnes and Nobles and Amazon.
That's a lot of competition.
The specialty chains and the internet just wiped out a lot of the independent booksellers.
Sure.
So we had a bright idea. Okay, we'll do toys.
Oh boy, how'd that go?
What was
the name? What was the name of your toy store?
Wonder Child Toys.
Wonder Child Toys.
Every child should be a Wonder Child. That's what I said.
Very nice.
And we had a lot of fun with that. We raised our daughters mostly in the toy store, so they were working alongside
What a fantastic
us.
youth! Yeah,
it was fun. But then it was another thing where you had Zany Brainy Noodle Cadoodle Store of Knowledge, and my husband and I had to look at each other with 4 daughters and say, how are we going to pay for college?
Yeah.
And it was fun while it lasted, but it wasn't going to do college tuition for 4 daughters.
Wow. Okay.
So it was something that we said, okay, it's time to maybe grow up and get real jobs. So that's what we did.
Where did you go after that?
Well, I actually ended up working for 3 Chicago mayors.
Oh, okay.
I first served with the Daley administration in the Department of Planning and Development.
Wow.
Then later worked for Rahm Emanuel and Lori Lightfoot. I ended up at the city airport system as the Intergovernmental Affairs Commissioner.
That's why you like the LaGuardia story.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they talk about TSA and the fake grenade they found, or the inert
There's
grenade
a lot of weird, scary airport stories that I won't share
because people are going to get on planes soon. But I mean, I always think of airports as like it's a bus terminal. It's a huge bus terminal, and the buses happen to fly.
I think that's fairly accurate. I
Yeah.
mean, you're in the waiting room.
Yeah.
You know, you're hoping to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that we're just so mobile now, right? I think a lot of people look at the airport and they think this is home, you know, and that's what a lot of airports are trying to be more like, have better restaurants, have better shopping experiences, because they're, for the most part, they are someplace that any individual business person might spend a lot of time.
It becomes more familiar than
Yep.
anything else on their route.
Yep.
Their route is taken them to all kinds of different places, but it's always the same airport.
Well, I remember as an urban planner, I used to get frustrated. We were going to conferences in cities that I'd like to spend some time in.
Sure.
But the conferences never gave you,
No.
you know, so you ended up seeing the airports.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you do? What did you study in grad school?
Greek and Latin.
Latin, Greek, and Latin.
Yes.
How's that?
I thought I was
using
going to
that
be
a
an
lot?
archaeologist.
Okay.
And at that time in the early 80s,
Okay.
places like Iran and Iraq, which were the Near Eastern civilizations I'd been studying as well, were not
They kind of became a walled up, hands off.
You weren't going.
Yeah.
So, and then, like I said, I met my handsome husband, and I guess instead of becoming an archaeologist, I became a mother.
Wow.
And enjoyed that for, you know, I had kids all through the 80s and early 90s. So we were busy.
All right. We're gonna continue this conversation in just a few moments. We're talking with Nancy Kiernan. She's the CGA director for Bridgman, the Greater Bridgman Area Chamber and Growth Alliance. And there's a lot happening in Bridgman. So we'll start peeling that onion here in just a minute, right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
So you want a free checking?
I'm sorry, but your story is too fascinating. We're going to have to do 2 hours. Is that all right?
If the snow's going to fly, I'm going to fly too.
Oh my goodness. That is fascinating. So, I mean, you look back and you think, what do you think when you look back?
You know what? It seems like everything seems like yesterday, and everything seems like so long ago, all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I have grown daughters. I have grandchildren now.
How old are you have grandchildren?
I have 2 grandchildren.
Congratulations on that too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. I get to go visit them. And have nice places to go. One is in Denver, one is in New York. So I get to visit with them, and they also, because of the wonderful place where I live now, they come every summer.
Nice.
Where else would you want to go in the summer but Michigan?
Nowhere.
Right?
Yeah, nowhere else. That's beautiful. The let's see. So back to the toy store for just a moment, because everyone loves toys. Do you ever regret getting out of that?
You know, I think that I don't.
Yeah.
I think my husband does.
Really?
I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you're your own boss. You're absolutely a really important part of the community.
Yeah. So you're talking about the business altogether.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And small business, I really loved being a small business owner.
Yeah.
And have a great deal of respect for small business owners. That's why I do what I do. And I also have a real appreciation for sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you have to make the tough decision to get out.
That's got to be a tough decision because your emotions as well.
Absolutely. But it's also sometimes not a function of the business. It may be where you are in life.
Yeah.
You know, we have businesses that are, you know, people have done this for so many years and they're ready to do something else sometimes. So, but that's what keeps the mix interesting.
Yeah. So did you take any inventory from the toy store and like, hey, one day we'll have children, one day we'll have grandchildren. Let's keep this part of the inventory.
We had a good deal, if I have to say, Madame Alexander dolls.
Oh, really? Okay.
And with 4 girls, you
Good
kind
thing.
of have to hold on to the Madame Alexander dolls. But when I moved back here, and my husband and I, we are a little bit of gypsies.
Yeah.
We've moved quite a bit, but we fell in love with a log cabin on the St. Joe River in 2019. Didn't have a lot of room for all the extras. So everything got shipped out to my daughters in great big boxes.
If you want it, great. If you don't, it's going to the secondhand store.
We have purged and it's very freeing.
Yeah. What is it like working in politics in Chicago?
You know, it was very tough. You know, it sometimes defies reason. You think you're doing something that is absolutely the right thing to do, and it isn't sitting right with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, somebody had another idea. And so, yeah, it was tricky. Absolutely tricky.
I bet. So
and
how many
I
years?
really loved Mayor Daley. I have to say, really loved working for him because he was an urban planner.
Yeah.
He had the vision for that city. And that when you are dealing with the public or you're dealing with a lot of bureaucracy or, and to get any deal done, it's just a huge effort.
Sure.
But when you've got somebody who's got your back and believes in what you're doing, that makes it worthwhile. And Mayor Daley was a really good mayor.
Sounds like he had the knowledge and the passion for that.
He sure did.
Yeah. Okay. We're talking with Nancy Kiernan, CGA director for Bridgman. We're going to start talking about the Bridgman CGA in just a moment, right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We're going to catch up with ABC News, get our weather forecast, get our local news, get our Michigan News Network news, and then our sports and a few other things. Don't worry. We'll be right here on the video live stream the entire time.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
7:34, it's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. Ken Lundberg here. We're going to continue our interview with our guest, Nancy Kiernan. She's with the Bridgman CGA. That's coming up in just a moment. First, we're going to catch you up on what's happening weather-wise outside. 30 degrees in Benton Harbor and in St. Joseph and in South Haven. 28 degrees in Buchanan and New Buffalo right now. But the feels like, let's take New Buffalo, for instance. The feels like right now, New Buffalo, half of that. It's 15 degrees. It feels like 15 degrees out there. So be ready for a chill when you go outside. Wear the coat. Don't forget it, or just not do it like I did this morning. Winter weather advisory for all of Southwest Michigan from 11 o'clock this morning until 1 o'clock Thursday. Today's forecast calls for mostly cloudy skies, just a 50% chance of snow showers, a high around 30, west winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to make us feel really cold. Gusting to 30 miles per hour, even colder yet. Tonight's forecast expects sub-zero wind chills. It's going to be mostly cloudy, a 50% chance of lake effect snow, breezy. The west winds are going to go 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts to 40. Just like the other night when they were going like 50 miles an hour.
I lost all my bird feeders.
Oh no.
They blow off.
Do you have any special birds coming around this time of year?
We have a very interesting bird life.
Yeah?
Where we're at. We have an osprey that lives with us.
Pretty.
We have 2 owls that we hear, a screech owl and a great horned.
That's fun.
And I've actually seen the great horned, which is fun to actually spy an owl.
Yeah, when did you see him?
Well,
what time of day was it?
It was early evening.
Okay.
And we heard it.
Yeah.
And just looked out and were able to see it hop from one branch down to a lower branch. And you could tell that was the owl because it was big.
Yeah.
They are impressive.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Every now and again, I see a hawk trying to masquerade as an owl. And I say, you're not an owl. No. It's funny.
You know how I find some of my best birds is crows do not like owls.
Okay.
They do not like ospreys. And if they see them, they go after them. And they go after eagles too, actually. We have
crows do?
Crows do.
Wow.
Crows, because I think crow eggs are something of a delicacy for the birds of prey.
Okay.
So crows tend to try to chase those birds out of their territory.
Oh.
So whenever I hear a lot of ruckus out there from the crows, I look out and more often than not, I see a large bird of prey.
How fun is that?
Yeah, it is.
That's smart. What about woodpeckers?
We have lots of woodpeckers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Pileated and the
absolutely.
Downies and the Harrys and all that.
And I used to go out to Surrett Nature Center on Saturday morning. I was such a nerd. What teenager goes to Surrett on Saturday morning by herself? And I would sit out in the prairie and I had a little notebook and I had glass. I was a bird watcher.
Oh, how fun.
I loved it and I still do it.
I love bird watching. That's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right. Let's see. So we've got the forecast in hand. It's going to be cold. Let's see. We've got Nancy Kiernan in studio here, CGA director for Bridgman. We're going to talk about their holiday village that they have going on this weekend. That's coming up in just a moment right here on WSJM. First, we're going to get some ABC News going.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Luigi Mangione still in jail in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The man accused of gunning down the head of United Healthcare last week in New York City is fighting extradition and is being held without bail.
And hit that button over there. Slide that switch up. Let's see. Teresa says, "Yuck! I don't like this weather." LOL. I know. Neither. Yeah. I'm a fan of winter.
I am.
I am a fan of winter, and I like it because it's crisp.
Mm-hmm.
The temperature feels crisp, and I know subliminally, I know these temperatures are killing the mosquitoes and the ticks, and I feel good about that.
How about those fruit flies?
And the fruit flies too, and the little leaf gnats or whatever they are. I don't know, all those things. But the reason I ask about special birds and around your bird feeders, we've had one little downy woodpecker who just started visiting this one bird feeder we have in our backyard. We have suet in it, and like a week and a half, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he just started hanging out there.
Yeah.
And at first we thought, is he stuck? What's happening? He's like, no, I'm just here, just checking things out. Yeah. And he's just been hanging around the yard.
He's your
Love
bird.
It. Yeah.
He's your
we should
bird
name
now.
him.
Yeah, you should. I think he's waiting for that.
Yeah. And so that's fun. Which do you have favorite birds?
You know, I have to say I love the dark-eyed junco.
Oh, the juncos are cute.
And because they bounce around and they love the snow.
Yeah.
They just seem so cheerful.
What about the nuthatches?
I get a lot of nuthatches and black-capped chickadees. And, I watch them all.
Speaking of watching, so Stephanie found this channel. It's the Cornell Bird Feeder. There's a park in Ithaca, New York, next to the university or part of the university. I don't know. Cornell, because they have ornithology there. But they have a bird feeder that they live stream all the time. And we watch it on YouTube.
See, actually, you can actually buy those for
the
your
cams?
own home. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Well, you buy the bird feeder and it has a camera in it.
Okay, so you need to buy one of those and give us the web address, and we will watch
my birds.
Watch your ospreys and your owls and everything else out there. Let's see. I'm just moving some things around here. How long have you been at the Bridgman CGA?
I started in March.
Okay.
Yep.
How has it been?
You know what? I'll tell you, I was really blown away by the pent-up demand for economic development services.
Okay.
So we opened our doors. I went around and did a listening tour of the businesses, and honestly, a lot of folks had a lot to say and a lot of good vision and good history there. But I was really surprised at the amount of people, the traffic flow into my office on a regular basis. I've got this idea. I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
What do you think about putting this type of a business in that locale? Do you have any locations that are available that would suit me? It's just been a very good, steady flow.
That's nice.
Of folks with entrepreneurial spirit.
What a nice problem to have.
It is, absolutely.
It's not a problem at all. That's great. Where is so you have a brick and mortar presence down there?
I am in City Hall.
Okay. And so you've got
Which has been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you that it's nice to have a support network like I have, both in the city of Bridgman and with Lake Charter Township. So I serve both of those organizations or those government entities, but it really is one community.
Yeah.
And they've come together as one community, and that gets you going. I mean, that will make things happen when everybody is pulling in the same direction.
Yeah. So in talking with you, Nancy, I can clearly see what others saw and why you're the right fit for this role.
Well, thank you.
How did you get the job? How did you how did this get on your radar?
Well, I made a decision to bail out of the city and found this log cabin. And in kind of typical style for my husband and myself, we just took the leap, right?
Yeah.
Bought the log cabin, moved here. And I had no idea what the market was really here. I had not dabbled at all in coming back here professionally. And so I actually called up Arthur Havlicek at the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber and was telling him a little bit about myself and was asking for his help in navigating how I could plug into this market. And sure enough, a few months later, I was looking and I saw that there was an opportunity for the director position in Bridgman.
Yeah.
And I applied and there were other good candidates.
Yeah.
And I was very happy that they selected me.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, I was really very interested in what we could do with the backing of a regional chamber, but having that very local focus.
So first
with
things,
the CGA.
So first things that you did when you got into the office.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's history.
Yeah.
Understanding the history. Hannah Anderson, who's the chairman of the Corridor Improvement Authority, gave me a book that the Historical Society had written about the history of Bridgman. Fascinating.
Yeah.
And what I was really struck by is the families that really turned that into a place on the map back in the 19th century
Yeah. Okay.
are still there today.
Yeah.
And they've morphed. So they may have been farmers or been involved in the lumber mill that was in Bridgman, but at one point they started doing nursery plants or maybe owned the first A&P store or, and now we still have, folks that are representative of those families that are owning businesses throughout Bridgman. Just they're not doing what they were doing 150 years ago, but I was really struck by the fact that people who have stayed the course in Bridgman and morphed with the times and have created a really special place on the lake. It really is. So understanding the history and listening to the business folks and residents was job number one.
And then what?
Economic restructuring.
Yeah.
So if you want to compete, you have to compete.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be deliberate about it.
And if you are a smaller town, you need to think regionally. So again, it's kind of like the old hippie in me says, think globally, act locally.
Okay.
And so I really thought we needed to understand how our tax increment financing district works, how our commercial abatement districts work.
Hold that thought. We've got to get back on the radio.
Yep.
We'll pick up right there.
All right.
Top out near 30, but it will be really windy and cold tonight. Lake effect snow showers start to get a little more intense. A winter weather advisory starts at 11 o'clock today and goes through tomorrow. We're talking most areas 1 to 3 inches of accumulating snow, but blowing and drifting will make travel a little bit slower. We're only going to top out at 18 tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
Welcome back to the WSJM Morning Show. Looking at the temperature in Bridgman right now.
All right.
It's 29 degrees, but the feels like it's 16. Yeah. You got hand warmers? You got hot cocoa over there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it out because we're ready for it. Let's see. Do that. Let's see. Look at the other places. St. Joseph, 30 degrees. Benton Harbor, 30 degrees. South Haven, 30 degrees. Buchanan, 28 degrees. The feels like temperature, though, is probably about half that. So be ready as you go outside. It's going to be chilly. We're talking with Nancy Kiernan. She's the CGA director for Bridgman, basically the Greater Bridgman Area Chamber and Growth Alliance director. What that means is economic development for the area of Bridgman that she represents. We've talked a little bit about how your background, your family in St. Joseph, how you got to where you are today, and what you're doing now that you're in charge of the CGA in Bridgman. So thank you for sharing that information so far.
Great journey.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. We can see why you're why you're doing what you're doing, and it's great. We feel fortunate having you in the region doing this. And so when you got into the job, you were explaining on the video live stream, which you can see on YouTube and Facebook. Catch up on it if you've not seen it already. But you were talking on the video live stream about when you got the job in March of this year, you understood the context, the history of what the Bridgman area is and has become. And then the next step was talking about kind of the economic restructuring. Can you go through that? What does that mean?
Well, I just think that you have to bring something to the table if you want someone to come to your party.
and the you bringing something to the table, you're talking about Bridgman.
Yep.
Okay.
And financial incentives that will make it easy for people to choose Bridgman to open up their business or expand their business.
Okay.
So we do have tax increment financing. We do have.
What does that mean? Tax increment financing?
Well,
for the entrepreneurs and us.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a great way to capture the incremental tax that your development would generate.
Okay.
So what we do is we say if we've got a vacant piece of land and somebody's willing to build a 3,000 square foot commercial facility, we project what the additional taxes will be once that facility is built. And we say, okay, we're going to give you a portion of this incremental tax back to you at the beginning so that you can actually build your facility.
Nice.
So it's an incentive based on what they provide in terms of additional revenue to the organization and community.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good tool. The other tool that's in our toolkit currently is a commercial tax abatement.
Okay.
So that is the opposite. That's where we say, okay, you're going to build something. We think it's a good investment. We're going to give you a tax break for a period of 5 or 10 years.
Okay.
So that you kind of pay yourself back for what you've invested in the facility.
Sure. With the hope, again, being that what you're doing is generating economic activity. So not only the taxes and the jobs that you're bringing to that area, but also hopefully being a magnet for others.
Yes. And I'll tell you, it's anybody who's looking to put money into a facility, they're looking for incentives to do so. So it's worth your while to say, hey, I'm willing to forego some taxes for 5 years to get that diversified tax base for the next 50.
Yeah.
And that's the way those incentives work. And we also are really actively working with folks to package loans so that they can get conventional financing for their small business needs.
Yeah. So you've you understand the context of Bridgman. You started doing some economic restructuring. What are you seeing happening in Bridgman right now? What are some of the fun things that you're celebrating?
Well, will say one of the projects that can I talk about one of our projects?
Sure, absolutely.
So it's really the perfect example of how a government entity, how a non-for-profit, and how a private owner can work together. It's a public-private partnership to create the Gas Road Market.
Okay.
Which is, we have, like many other communities across the state, have lost our pharmacy. Rite Aid is in a contracting mode.
Yes.
And they've left behind 10,000 square foot facilities across the state.
Yeah.
And 10,000 square feet is hard to fill with any one entity. They're very few and far between.
Sometimes they're not the prettiest buildings, too.
They're not.
Just being honest.
So we actually, on that note, had a group from Andrews University take on renovating that former Rite Aid facility in Bridgman in Lake Charter Township, and giving us all sorts of design concepts as their semester project.
Okay.
And I sat over at the architecture school last week with 19 of their students.
Wow.
All working on design concepts for recreating and adaptive reuse of this facility.
That's great.
And they were fabulous.
Yeah. How'd they come out?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The creativity that I don't personally possess is always really impressive when you see someone like, wow, how'd you think of that? Or that's beautiful. And never thought of that idea. And they came up with great ideas for turning that really obsolete building at this point into a cooperative market.
So what's the next step? What's going to happen next on that?
We are pursuing a lot of grant and low-cost loan financing. We have an owner who has pledged the building as collateral, which is huge.
Yeah.
Instead of selling it to someone who wants to sit on it and let it rot on a corner for decades.
That happens way too often.
It does. And this is a very enlightened donor that wants to contribute to the economic health of the community. And so she's willing to work with us to transform this project. So we're finishing up design and engineering and are pursuing financing. And we'll take the next step which is to start finding tenants.
Right.
Very shortly.
Okay. So time frame, you hope to have new people in there.
This is probably something that's going to be a long-term project.
Okay.
So probably not going to happen in 2025, but
Okay.
we're sure going to be working towards 2026.
That's great. That's exciting. I mean, relatively speaking, that's a pretty short period of time.
It is for a construction project of this significance. It is.
All right. Well, we've got to take another break, and then we'll come back and talk about the Bridgman Holiday Village, the event that's happening. And so you've got a ton of that. You've got a poster that you brought in. I don't think we'll get through the entire poster, so pick the top things. Okay. We'll do that in just a moment during the Moody on the Market update. It's right here on WSJM.
Rich Brand and Tarek Halsey of IMS Insurance.
You thought you were going to have a second to prepare, but I'm not going to give you time to rest.
It's good. No, it's good. I realize I can't even read this poster.
Got to have bigger font on there. Yeah, let's see.
I hate the white text on the blue background.
Is it not contrast enough? Yeah. You got to be good with the design stuff there. I mean, sometimes
I'm not.
Oh, did you do this?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness, we're gonna get in trouble. But it's a pretty poster, I can tell you that.
It is
a pretty
absolutely.
Poster. Where? Did you say the Gast building?
It's the Gast Road Market is its working title.
Okay.
Because it's at the corner of Gast Road and Shawnee
in
Lake Charter Township.
Okay. Gast Road and Shawnee. And how many square feet is the building? Do you know offhand?
10,000 square feet.
10,000 square feet. Yeah, that's a big problem with the pharmacies. About a third of the nation's pharmacies have closed over the last decade.
Yep.
A third.
And those are big buildings. I mean, Walgreens isn't even, they're doing the Walgreens Express. That's their model now.
Yeah.
So
a lot of them are moving to express models.
Yep.
Restaurants included.
Yep.
Where they don't even offer in-house dining anymore.
Right.
Which is fine. Because
I'm a big fan of kind of the diner.
Yeah,
and that's
diners are cool
on my list to have. We've got a great couple diners, in Bridgman, but that's something that I think people always.
Do they have windows? The diners that you're talking about?
Yes.
See, I like it with the windows when you
see people sitting having their coffee. Yeah,
or you can look outside and say, oh, but so many of the chain restaurants that you have right now. They close off you can't see outside anymore. I don't know why that is.
No, it's not a good thing.
Maybe because they want you to focus on the menu.
Well, you want to have that interaction though with the street traffic. And I think for me, if I'm walking down a street, I want to look in, and if I see a well-lit, friendly looking place, that's where I'm going to turn in.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. If we ruled the world, here we go.
Yeah.
Second edition coming up in just a moment. All right. We're going to do the Moody on the Market update here in just a moment. I'm just moving some things around so we have time and do this, and then we'll come back, and in the Moody on the Market update you'll talk all about the Holiday Village.
So I'll hold it this far away. I think it's good.
Do you want to borrow? I've got like trifocals in here somewhere.
No, this is good.
Okay. All right. Sorry, my glasses are dirty, otherwise I'd offer them up. Okay, we'll get back here and do this, and okay, we'll be good. We'll come back in about 30 seconds and do this update. Those of you on the video live stream, for some reason, I don't know what's going on with the interface between Facebook and our live stream this week, but I have Teresa's comments and I don't have any others. I know other people are out there leaving comments and such. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate you. Teresa, thank you for your comments. And I love your idea about Santa. I've got to figure out, I'll put my thinker on to see if I can find out who I could who I could contact to get Santa in as a guest. You might imagine he's got some other commitments this time of year.
He's very busy.
But we'll check.
He's definitely going to be in Bridgman on Saturday.
We'll talk about that in just a moment right here on WSJM.
JM.
Oh my goodness, that's fun. Where's Santa going to be?
Rising Kites, my favorite.
At Rising Kites. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we're talking with Nancy Kiernan. She is the CGA director for Bridgman. And basically what that means is you're at the center of everything that's going on in Bridgman. You're helping people understand what opportunities there are for economic development. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And as part of our Moody on the Market update today, I want you to talk a little bit, if you would, about holiday villages. The Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. You have a big event happening this weekend in 2.5 minutes or less.
Okay.
Give us what's going on.
It's a good thing I can talk fast.
Yes.
We have a lot going on. It starts at 9:00 in the morning and doesn't end until 9:30 at night.
And that's this Saturday?
That's this Saturday, all through downtown Bridgman. And Lake Street is going to be alive with all sorts of activities. You can get Christmas pancakes and hot cocoa first thing in the morning at Molly's Beach Walk. You can go to the library and see a showing of the movie Elf that starts at 1 o'clock.
Nice.
We're going to have a pop-up market at Emmanuel Lutheran Church in the gym from 1 to 5. And we've got over 30 vendors with handmade items, just the wonderful pop-up markets that people enjoy at Christmas.
Absolutely.
We have a live nativity scene going on there. We're going to have carolers.
Okay.
We have Christmas cardio kickboxing at Lake Street
Because
Fit.
who doesn't have Christmas cardio kickboxing?
I'm telling you, Lakeside it is a Lakeside Fit has a couple of great owners that love to make everything fun,
That's
even
great.
working out.
That's great.
So that will be, I'm sure, well attended.
Yeah.
We have the Elf Village at the Getaway Grill and Cubby Bar. We've got a pet parade.
Oh, pet parade.
A pet parade
Okay.
starting at Paws to Wash at 3 o'clock. And we have a pet photo booth at Transient Artisan Ales all day. Everybody loves their pets.
Where can people, we've run out of time here, but where can people get more information and find the full list?
All over the Facebook for the
Bridgman.
chamber,
Yep.
for Bridgman. And I just don't want to forget the American Legion adult only snowball party starting at 6:30 to 9:30.
That's fun. That's all happening.
And there's more
this Saturday. That's all happening this Saturday. Check out the Bridgman CGA Facebook page for the full schedule and everything that's happening. Nancy, it's been a complete pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in today.
having me. I've enjoyed it very much.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Come on back soon. It is 7:59. We'll come up on 8 o'clock here, give you ABC News. Our local news is coming up next. It's WSJM.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. As police scour the social media accounts of Luigi Mangione.
And thank you, everyone who's been watching on the video live stream. We appreciate you. And of course, you can always go back if you missed any portion of this on YouTube or on Facebook. Look up WSJM and you can watch the video archive of this interview, which has been great. Feel free to use this if you want to ship this out to your membership or anyone else who's learning about what in the world a CGA is and what it does and what it should look like.
Great. Thank you so much. We've just got a lot going on and we're very happy to invite folks to come join us.
Good stuff. All right. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon, Nancy. We appreciate you and we'll talk later.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And thank you on the video live stream. We'll talk to you soon.